This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart, at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family. The easy way to say it, though, is if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing this evening here on episode 173 of the Auburn Experience podcast. As always, I'm your host, Kyle Loomis. So alongside me, not trying to manage 1,000 different things and run the show board here, is the other co-host, Mr. Austin Scott. So he is in a much better state of mind than me. I am overstimulated, Austin. So you are going to have to keep this ship afloat tonight, sir.
Oh, I don't think we should ask that at all. I think there are many people who would say, whoa, what are we doing here? Overstimulated is a common word in my house. But the train keeps rolling. So I'm here. I will make sure the train does not crash, but no promises that it stays on the tracks.
Yes, it is going to be an interesting one tonight, folks. And this is a show where I was thinking about how to describe this to folks, Austin. Whether you are a live video viewer, or I guess audio viewer, I guess if you don't choose to look at our ugly mugs on the screen or whatever, that's probably it's a fair thing to do, or you just listen to the audio show. This is going to be like a multiverse situation here. We have got a very interesting show. Let me just address it right at the front. We are broadcasting live in the middle of Auburn women's tennis in the national title versus Texas A&M. They probably would be getting close to a conclusion had there not been a weather delay of about, I'd say, an hour, Austin. Would you say that at this point? Is that kind of
yeah, it was like, an hour.
And they have moved inside now as opposed to playing outdoors, which is just a shame because that was a great facility.
They're back outside.
They're back outside now?
Everybody took cover indoors, but they are back playing outside from what I can see.
I swear one of our beat writers showed a picture of them moved indoors, and that's what it gave the impression that they're. So I told y'all, we're living in a multiverse. So whatever you're experiencing right now of this show, of what's being put out there, just know that it was a wild time. And this is probably one of those times you want to watch the live show so that you can see the sausage being made. So that's what's going on tonight, Austin. We'll make it right. We'll make it work.
Yeah, we'll get by. It's not like this show is the standard of order and procedure and goes according to plan. So we thrive in this, baby.
Oh, do we? Thrive is a strong choice of words, but hey, we make do. We work, hard work, all those things, perseverance. I'm going to start using every word to make myself feel better about it. All right, so here's how tonight's going to work. We are going to have your two major topics. The planned ones are to discuss baseball postseason wrap-up of the regular season, and then I'll take another look at a next level of the Jordan-Hare North project, the Concourse level. So that's what we have planned. We have a lot to discuss in potpourri, as we always do. We also may at any point break into the show here live to talk about the results of a national title women's tennis match, or at the end of the show. I don't know. It depends on what multiverse you live in, as we addressed already. So that's how this is going to happen. That's what this is going to work. Here's the last bit of housekeeping of stuff that we needed to cover this evening. Next week, we will not have a Sunday show because I will be off for family stuff around my birthday, things like that. Austin will also be out of town. However, we understand that next week there will be the announcement of the NCAA baseball tournament regional selections, right or wrong, depending if you've paid attention to some of that today. We can get into that, of speculation about that. We will come together probably on Monday if we deem it necessary for us to cover something of that nature, or even more than that. But at this moment, no Sunday show next week. So episode 174 will take place the following week. If we do anything together, Austin, it'll be kind of like the Auburn Experience light type of show where we just get to address those types of things. We'll figure it out along the way. I need to shut up and stop spewing just all the craziness is happening and let the show just take shape here right now. I do have a shout out that we need to cover, Austin. We did get a group on YouTube this week reach out and express how much they love the show, the things that we cover here, how we cover the whole of the Auburn experience. And they asked for a little bit of a shout out for their organization. And so we're going to do that this evening. We'll honor that whenever we can for the request. This comes by way of the Auburn Community Robotics. I'm going to call it a program as I'm learning about it. It is a program that is built for helping younger people get acquainted with the field of, robotics. In the Auburn community robotics is how it works, right? So they just wanted to express their love for what we do here and asked if we could just let people know about what they're doing. Their mission, cool. If you go to their website, auburnrobotics.org, as Auburn Community Robotics provides facilities and facilitates hands-on robotics education and competition opportunities for children. So this is a competition along with teaching them about that. So we wanted to show them a little bit of love this evening. Austin, I know that robotics isn't your forte. At least I'm assuming it's not, unless you have some hidden skill. Or are the boys going to ever be good at, did you impart that type of knowledge upon them?
No, they might get that level of intellect from their mother. If they get any level of intellect at all, it will be from their mother. Okay. I'm looking at the website though, and I'm familiar with some of these terms, but there was some, what's the word? Collab, not between this group, but robotics in the Auburn area through some organizations at a previous employer of mine, that were educational. And so, I'm definitely familiar with some of this stuff, but it's a growing world. It's a growing concept that seems to be just thriving, and in a place where you're right next to one of, if not the best engineering school in the country. It makes a lot of sense that this would be a community that's in our area. So, and certainly looks like it's a young group, but also can go into high school or all the way down to if you were born after 2010. So how about that? So it makes sense that this would be popular, and I certainly look forward to learning more about it now that I've heard from them.
Yeah. And let's be honest, everybody's younger than us at this point. If we're talking about younger people, I mean, like, some of us are older than others. Others look older than others. I won't say which ones those are on the show this evening, but hey, listen, it's for the kids. And as you made the point, the Auburn School of Engineering, obviously the prowess of that. If you're gonna be in a community, being part of an organization like this, you certainly want to be connected close with the community of Auburn and what they're able to do there. So just wanted to give them a little bit of love and shout out, and thank you for them watching what we do here. And that's what we envisioned when we talk about the Auburn experience. It'll always be heavy on the sports. It'll always be heavy on the football. Let's not, shy away from that. But whenever we get the opportunity to talk about even something far-reaching in the Auburn experience for the typical fan out there, we want people to know what's going on. So shout out to them, auburnrobotics.org. If you want to email for them, auburncommunityrobotics@gmail.com. So do go show them some love and make sure that you check them out if you haven't done so already. All right, potpourri time, Austin. Potpourri got moved around a lot here to start off the show because of things that are happening, but plenty to talk about as always. This could have been a full segment, honestly, Austin, if we wanted to rehash some things we had recently talked about, but I think we can cover what we need to here. I can say, I think with almost 100% certainty today, barring some changes, that your roster for Auburn basketball is now officially complete with the addition of Mantas.
No, remember you said you're just going to let me handle this one.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Montas Rubstavicius. Did a lot of work on that. A lot of history. Montas Rubstavicius.
I would stand up and applaud you, but once again, the bottom half is not as.
It would not be a good idea.
Once
you're
again,
close.
It is family friendly. I just don't think it'd be great. So I'm just not going to do that. But you, sir, continue to show why you are on this show with being able to pronounce his name. If you go back to Tiger Tracks, when my wife and I used to do that show, and all of our international athletes on that, I had to try to pronounce. I mean, you just got you got informed by Jessica, and it was a comedy show by me. So once again, I have not learned my lesson. Just let the co-host handle the names that are difficult for this guy to handle. So I do try, folks. Just let me be clear. I do try to learn them. And if you've ever met me in person too, it takes me like several times of seeing you and meeting you to lock your name and how to say it. Well, I don't know what that said. Stop it. It's not about me. Okay. Back to this. Our brand new edition, Austin, one more time.
Montas Rubstavicius.
And completing the Auburn 2026-27 basketball roster as far as we know from this point forward. He is a 6'6" guard, as most people are placing him. I sometimes disagree with us putting people that fit in a lot of categories into one, space. I think they will just be one of those versatile guard, small forward, whatever it needs to be. But an international flavor, again, for the Auburn Tigers, this time from Lithuania. So we've seen this with Jovic before. We've seen this in this class and this group already with Narcisse Ngoy. I mean, so obviously the Tigers want to go international a little bit with this team.
Yeah, it's the flavor. It's kind of the flavor of college basketball now a little bit too. Seeing it a lot more often, just with the expansion of NIL and the eligibility, benefits of it sometimes, and just the production that they can have as the high school and international and university world of basketball is very different than everywhere else in the United States. And so there's a lot of experience over there, and I think we've touched on it when Brian Cloman was hired, but he has some of that experience of flavor of recruiting that realm. And so Montas Rubstavicius is now the next one to come to Auburn through an international pipeline. So really cool to see. It's going to be just absolutely fascinating to see. We, like you said, we got the flavor of it with Filip Jovic last year, and now Auburn. I think Auburn people gravitated toward him very quickly because of that. Like he had some interviews early on where he just talked about how he just loved Auburn and loved certain places he was finding in Auburn. It's a very transparent way to see someone who obviously probably has never heard or stepped foot in Auburn, Alabama before, and they find a way to fall in love with it, and it makes your little Auburn heart smile. So looks like we might get two more examples of that with Narcisse and Montas.
Yeah, listen, I don't care where they come from as long as they are the right fit for what we need on this team. And one of the things I think that was discussed this week, people were talking about it on social media, comments from Steven about it seeming to indicate he's very happy to build his own team this time. And I don't think that's necessarily a shot one way or the other in anybody's direction, but that's just the reality of the situation. He inherited a team that is not one that, as the head man, he helped develop, but these are his guys. So we're going to get an opportunity for the first time to see what he can build off of who chose to stay. And you've got some strong pieces that are choosing to stay here, but a different makeup of a team, a lot more size, which is going to make a lot of people happy, especially when you talk about some of the guards are going to be a little bigger or people perceived as guards. But that's really your roster at this point with Montas being added in here for the most part. Do you think there's anybody else that could make a decision to leave at this point? I think most portals are done, or at least at this point.
Yeah,
is there anything that you see changing?
I don't think you're going to see anyone leaving. I think that, like you said, that window is closed. I think that what could happen, that theoretically, I guess, is if someone who decides to forego the NBA draft but has maintained their eligibility would like to come back. Maybe you see Auburn involved. I think with the way the math shakes out, I think there's probably just like one spot there. And as we've seen before, you can hold that. I also, I do think that there's a chance that maybe a guy like Emeka Purum could come back and retain that spot if he finds that there's not greener pastures elsewhere. So we'll just see how it goes. There's all the Pearls have always shown they're willing to hold on to that one spot for a scholarship player or a walk-on player to get a scholarship too.
Sure.
So you never know. But I think that you can probably take it to the bank that the majority is rock solid here for this Auburn men's basketball roster.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of just waiting on this last shoe to drop, so to speak, to make everybody feel comfortable about this going forward. So there you have it. That's your team as we know it right now. All the speculation can begin. Just because of time's sake, I'm not going to ask Austin to predict the top 5 or the starting 5 unless he wants to. Is that something you want to do tonight?
No, he does not.
Okay, I'm gonna let you off the hook tonight, but during summer where we get a little bit slower, we might have to come back to that and ask you to play that little fun game that I always like to play.
Montas Rubstavicius.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you. You just keep on saying that and making me look bad for not being able to pronounce things. So I appreciate that very much. All right, football flavor. We did get a little bit of schedule updates. Now, of course, you know your 2026 schedule for a long time now at this point, but you now have an official game time for the first game of the season: Auburn versus Baylor in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the Aflac kickoff. Is it Aflac now? Not
yeah,
Chick-fil-A?
Affleck's got it. Affleck's got it now.
When did that change, by the way?
It's I think just maybe last year. A friend of mine works in Aflac marketing, and so I know I remember when he told me about it. It was coming. It's been a while, but I don't know when it actually happened. But I want to say last year was the first year. I think Chick-fil-A had it not long ago.
Yeah, because Auburn was in it in 2018 with Washington, and so it was the Chick-fil-A kickoff back then. Either way,
yes,
it's one of the kickoff games, and I don't think there's been a single whatever sponsor kickoff game in Mercedes-Benz that hasn't started in a midday. I could be wrong, but I feel like every single time they've started in the midday time. So your official time for Auburn versus Baylor, 2:30.
On what you're saying.
Sorry, I may have misspoke there
good.
a little bit. 2:30 kickoff for East Central Time, 3:30 Eastern Time for those two opponents in Mercedes-Benz. Do you feel any certain way about the game time, or is just happy to have it set?
I'm good with it. You know, it's a semi-closed stadium. I guess the roof could be open,
Could be.
But in September, on the beginning of September, I'm thinking probably not. That's all the more reason. Put it in the afternoon while we're already indoors. I'm I love that time. I don't beg for the night games, especially a little bit cooler anyway, and in Jordan-Hare especially. So in Mercedes-Benz, 2:30 to kick it off gets you a little time to watch the night games. What do you think?
No, I'm happy with it, actually. If it's not going to be in Jordan-Hare, I know, folks, we're all upset about it. Let's not go there again. But if it's not going to be in Jordan-Hare, I'm fine with not sweating it out in another stadium outdoors or traditionally outdoors as well. I would suspect with you that they will probably have that thing closed because we all will enjoy that climate control.
It'd be cool. It'd be cool.
Would be.
But we got time.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Football should not be started in August. I've said it before. I'm going to continue to say it. And I'm happy in some way, if we can't have it at Auburn, that we get to be indoors. And especially if it's going to be a 2:30 kickoff. I agree with you as well about you get a little bit of chance to get your game done out of the way. It's an important game, not to say that we're just trying to dismiss it, but to get to some of the other stuff that even kind of let everything soak in. Because I feel like the energy of that night, you just don't have a chance to digest everything from the day if it's a night game for you in that sense. So I think there's positives in it. We'll see how everybody else feels about it. I think at this point, it's more about where the location is rather than the time that's been the biggest discussion for most Auburn football fans. So other good news for football this week. And I feel like, Austin, I think I said this last episode, every single week we are talking about a commitment in the summer or the post-spring practice and A-Day world of Auburn football for a commitment coming through for the 2027 class. So your latest update, maybe for like the fourth week straight, it feels like. Linebacker, you got Mr. Kareem Palmer deciding to commit to for the 2027 class out of the state of Georgia. So once again, we always talk about how important it is to grab people out of the state of Georgia. This is a class in 2027 so far that has been a little bit heavier on the offensive side of the ball too. So this is a swing back to the defensive side of the ball. Auburn's also got a really strong group of linebackers that they have been building up behind that core group as well. Had so many that people had to leave. So Kareem could be part of that next wave that's getting ready, unless he's just a phenom out there. But there you go. The next edition, linebacker Kareem Kareem Palmer is an Auburn, at least a commitment for the Auburn Tigers.
Sure, a commitment. And look, if there's someone you want to trust on personnel and who they want to be the quote unquote quarterback of their defense, it's DJ Durkin. So if he picks a linebacker, it's probably someone worth paying attention to. So he picks, you said it was Kareem. I'm sorry.
Kareem, yes. Kareem Palmer. Yeah.
I have this name in my head for some reason that I think it's his name, and it's just not his name. It's not even close. So I'm not going to say it because there's probably someone out there with that name. But I just keep wanting to say this individual, and it's not anywhere close to that name.
I got you.
I'll tell it to you later, but we'd get clipped if I say it.
Moving on.
That's an important piece for DJ Durkin's defense. We've seen the proof in the pudding with Xavier Atkins with that, with DeMarcus Riddick and guys. When he targets a guy, it's usually a pretty good bet. So excited to see Mr. Kareem Palmer be the next one of those, hopefully, as he gets to campus.
Here's what I love. I always like to find silly correlations and things out of this. He comes from Toombs County, Georgia, which is where I've never heard of Toombs County, but I love that a linebacker comes from Toombs County, like putting people in the tomb and stuff like that. So, yeah, listen, that's what you get here with me with like recruiting discussions and stuff. I'm so tired of talking about stars and things like that because they don't really mean as much as people act like that. I'm going to stir some people up with that comment.
There we go.
Regardless, very excited to have yet another commitments. You got any odds on if we'll be talking about next week on another? It's Big Cat. It was Big Cat weekend this weekend, so maybe we got another one kind of deciding to. And that
maybe so. Right now, I'm apparently making up names of recruits, so I could probably give you a few off the top of my head that probably aren't real people. But it wouldn't surprise me if that's a thing nowadays anyway.
But we have talked about this, Austin, in all seriousness, the importance of not seeing Big Cat weekend as immediate results, but that seed that has been planted in a lot of these recruits' minds to just kind of get the feel of everything, and then you start seeing them come along, especially when you get that momentum of one that happened at Big Cat Week. And I saw his video. It happened while everybody was crowded around him. Coach comes running over to him, all that stuff. So that kind of gets the good vibes rolling, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
there you go. First of Big Cat Weekend. Maybe more that we're here will decide to commit to the Auburn Tigers before it is all said and done. We're going to move into some of the other sports in potpourri. We got to talk some golf stuff. Now, women's is the primary thing that we're discussing here. The men's regional play is beginning tomorrow as we're recording on a Sunday. So that's out there. Jackson Coiven talk will be all next week. But not so fast, my friend. We have to talk not only about the women's team results of the regional play, but the individuals too. First for the team. They won their regional up in Louisville. And they were not the highest seeded team there, but not really one of the lowest either. So they move on to go to the actual championship out in Carlsbad, California. Again, we've been saying this a lot this season, Austin, how people are, yes, rightfully so, pay attention to Jackson, pay attention to the men's team, but you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not paying attention to this women's team too, going out there to the Louisville regional and taking that one, and then being able to eventually move on to go out there and hang out with the rest of the great teams out there. So happy to have them moving forward for two teams, hopefully. I'm speaking out of turn. I shouldn't say that too soon, but two teams, hopefully in national championship territory.
Yes, I'm gonna be honest with you. I went out. I have no idea.
You went out.
You went, our screens went black and I was like, what happened? I didn't touch anything. And I came back I clicked to Wi-Fi again and I was back, but you were talking about Louisville and that's all I know.
Well, that's fine. That's not the most important part of this anyway. I told y'all this was going to be a wild show anyway. The biggest news of the week in the golf round. Oh my goodness, Austin.
I didn't touch anything. The extender's right behind this wall and it's been working.
I'm going to go ahead and say what the commenters are going to say to you.
Bring it on.
This is a Temu extender that you're using at this point.
I got it. I don't know where I got it, but I didn't skimp. I think I'm good. I think I just had a little glitch in the multiverse matrix here.
We'll make it work. Like I said, the main thing out of the golf week that we need to discuss, other than celebrating the NCAA regional championship, regional championship for the women is the individual win for Anna Davis. The team won, but yes, she's the individual regional champion. And why is that significant? Yeah, I mean, it's great for your individual person to win it. A win is a win, but what is important is the history that we have seen, not only done by something on the men, but here now with Anna Davis and the women. She is now the all-time individual wins leader for Auburn women's golf with 6 total under her belt now.
Wow.
Why is that extra cool and extra important? We've talked about it previously. We've got Jackson Coyven, who not only passed the mark for Auburn men's golf this year, but has extended it even further. So I just want to hone in on this for a second, Austin, how cool this is. In 1 year, you have had historic individual and team results for Auburn men's and women, but just focus on these 2 individuals, Anna Davis and Jackson Coyven, in the same year, raising the bar for what Auburn standards are for golf. That's really cool. You don't see that. I don't think we've ever had an opportunity to talk about something like that across 2 different men's and women's programs.
Yeah, well, and especially for them to have do it in tandem in the same timeline. And I think it, Jackson Coyven gets a lot more headlines. I think, just I'm not taking any sides here, but men's golf professional stage is viewed a lot more often. And so I think that probably plays into it, but them both have individual wins and kind of match each other for so much of this year has been very cool to see them both do. And I think that we're both going to be talking about both of them as they step forward after Auburn and professionally for a long, long time.
Yeah. And we've seen them both do some other things, when they're not in season with Auburn professionally already, or I shouldn't say professionally, just not collegiate wise. They've had some opportunities to participate in certain events and things like that. But their history is set here at Auburn. They are now the standard as far as an individual. Can they add more to their accolades as part of the team results? Only time will tell, but this is cool enough in and itself. So congrats to Anna Davis. Congrats, obviously, we've already said it before, to Jackson Coyven. Such a cool thing in Auburn history that you've got to take note of and you got to really have a lot of respect for. So there's that for the golf side of things. We also had this week track and field. If you weren't aware, Auburn was hosting the SEC championships, and that's a 3-day event, Thursday to Saturday, where
a lot of people here. A lot of people here.
Did you see them running around and stuff? I think you said that in our Discord.
Yes. So my route to work goes, like, I go in between the old indoor facility and the Hoppa. I go in between the Hoppa and the indoor facility, and right there they had like I guess that was like the indoor facility is probably like for, I don't know, maybe there were snacks in there, but like where you get your it feels like it'd be a good place for snacks. But
you're such a dad thinking there's snacks in there, so go ahead.
There better be snacks. These people run a ton. They need some bananas and stuff. So, there's the indoor, but if you go along the indoor or from the indoor on what road is that? Sanford?
Sanford, yeah.
And then across the street and go in between the Hoppa and
Hoppa.
You go under the track facility straight. It's a dead straightaway shot to the track. And so they had a lot of cones and stuff like, hey, there could be very fast and strong people walking across the road at any moment here. So please drive carefully. But I saw people running every morning from a different school every day. I saw big buses with every SEC sticker on them you can imagine, all around, all day, every day. They descended on Auburn, Alabama, and it was really cool to see. It was cool to see at any given moment the Tennessee bus go by, the Florida bus go by. It was very cool to have everyone here, and just like random people running around campus trying to stay warm.
Well, hopefully not. So all of them are random. Hopefully you recognize a few of our athletes out there.
Random people from other schools. Yeah.
I got you. Random.
I don't know Oklahoma's distance runner. I just don't.
Can we just be honest? I think I saw some Missouri people here, and I was like, Missouri and track and field just didn't equate in my head. But it was wild.
Missouri and nothing equates, Kyle.
I wasn't going to go there, but you're choosing to. So
I don't like Missouri.
It's a misery. So I did have a chance to pop by on Saturday. I was in Auburn, not for any other events, not even sports related. We've addressed that on a previous show. Very busy day. But I did get the chance to swing by. And I hate this because I think I just missed and left before somebody we're going to talk about in a second did a huge thing. But I just want to, I really want to reiterate this. I want Auburn to host more track and field events. And we used to see this all the time. There was like usually two. They do the Tiger Invite and the War Eagle Invite, or some different versions of those names. They did have one this year, and then now they're hosting this. So I want them to get back. They just refurbished the surface. It looks great out there. It looked great on TV. And I just looked like everybody was having a great time out there. So I hope that we get a chance. I hope it's not an every 16, I guess, that you get to do this in SEC, but hopefully we'll get to do it again sometime soon, either for the SECs or more individual meets that can potentially be hosted there. Let's talk about just a couple of results. We won't go through it all. There's just too much. They did not win the SEC championship, men or women, but we did have two, at least, as far as I could tell, major accomplishments in terms of golds. Let's talk about the team, a group one first. The 4x100 was won by Auburn. Now, I thought we had done this previously on the men's side, and I guess I was mistaken, or maybe I don't know. Anyway, it was the fastest time in the country and the first gold medal since '97 in the SEC championships, I'm guessing, for Auburn track and field on the men's side when they won the men's 4x100. Now, if you've heard from my wife here before, we used to do the track and field show, you know how big a fan she is of the 4x any relay, but the 4x100. So she was really excited to hear that we were able to pull that off. And I'm trying to get everybody's name pulled up here on my screen, but they're not. The links just don't want to work sometimes. Azim Fahimi, I know, was on there. Ajayi Kainsola, and the other two. What you laughing at?
You're going for him this time.
Ajayi Kainsola, I think I got that one down. Give me some credit. Give me some credit where credit is due. Let's not talk about the basketball one that I mispronounced earlier. Let's not talk about that. Let's move on. But I'm so sorry. The other two I'm not as familiar with because the link's not working.
Just do it. You don't have their names at all.
I don't have their names at all. It's just, I think they're actually easier names, to be honest with you. But I do remember those two individuals. So that's the one great thing. One of the great things that happened in terms of golds. There were other personal records, freshman records, things won across a lot of the events. But the other thing that we have to mention, Jacoby Tharp. I mean, this is like
Tyler Davis is the other one.
Thank you.
And Austin Cresley.
See, I told you they were a little bit easier.
Those are easier. What a great name, Austin Cresley, man.
I'm glad the links decide to work for you and not for me. That's awesome.
My internet's fine. Yeah, it's just great over here. No worry, no problems over here.
What a show. Let's to spend just a second more on this individual, Jacoby Tharp. You've heard us talk about him previous seasons, how great he is, how awesome he's done. He won the gold in the 110 hurdles again. And I think I cannot for the life of me be more frustrated myself for just missing watching him win the gold medal for Auburn in the SEC championship. He does it again. I mean, he's the fastest time in the world at the time of that event. The SEC meet record, the record of the Hutzel Rosen track equaled his own school record. So, I mean, this social media post for Auburn is like check. This dude's awesome. Yep. And he is certainly the leader for the men's side of the team.
He is. And we've talked about him plenty on here before. Because he's the mainstay when we get to this time of the year in indoor and outdoor season. He has this event on lock, and so for him to get to do it at home is very cool. I do also hate that you missed that because I'm sure that was a very exciting time for his own team, but also for people just to get to see him run on his home track and then win. So very cool, and hopefully there's more to come. Stage too.
Yeah, but awesome to have all of that represented, all the SEC's greatest and some of the greatest in the NCAA here at Auburn, and have such a cool event for so many days at a great and historic track and facility. So that is our potpourri segment. That was a lot, and there are some things that are still happening at this moment that maybe we'll get to or maybe we won't. But let's move into the main part of our show here this evening. We got to talk some end of season, at least regular season, baseball stuff, and looking forward to the beginning of postseason here. I know you don't want to spend a ton of time on it, Austin. I don't either. This was not a great end of the week. or end of the season, I should say, for the regular season for Auburn baseball. They did lose their midweek game to Jacksonville State. Not great in any regards, even though they are a ranked team. But then Georgia comes to town. You hope that they can figure out a way to, salvage one, which they did. But you're hoping for that final marquee, one of the few teams that's ahead of you in the rankings, a series win at home, and it just didn't materialize this week. Now, doesn't mean that it was terrible all the way around. Obviously, getting the win at the end of the series, 14-4 over UGA is great. They're one of the best teams in baseball, but you did lose the first game 1-2, very low scoring, and then a comeback, just thwarted 7-9. They lose to Georgia in game 2. Seemed like the crowds were great. Other great events happened as well. Are you down on the team at all after this, or any final regular season thoughts?
I'm not. I think. And I know people are like, well, why aren't you? I think that, do think Georgia's one of the best teams in the country. They'd already wrapped up the SEC before this weekend to go into the final weekend of the SEC slate and have already won the regular season should say something in itself. I think after Friday, I can understand a lot of frustration after Friday just because, Georgia's strength this year has not been the pitching. They have great pitchers. It's just not been the strength. It's been the hitting. And you managed to hold them to just 2 solo shots, but you can't squeak across anything over
one more run,
one more run against their staff that you feel like this Auburn offense should have been able to. So that's the one that got away for me on Friday. I think going into Saturday, I was more concerned, if this team loses again, you just a loss that's more high scoring. Something like what ended up happening 9-7, where it shows the offense is not dead. Offense is not on life support. There's some good things happening there. Friday was just not a good day. And so obviously then you're 0-2 and on the weekend, that's no fun. But then they come out and run rule another SEC opponent and get the win on a getaway day against Georgia on Saturday. And you feel like you finally are going into Hoover on a high note. So, it's not the best. I think that a lot of people were worried they go 0-4 this week. And then you're kind of playing with fire on what the national seeding looks like and how many wins you got to get in Hoover to make sure you're hosting and set yourself up for hosting even further. But they'll all shake out next week, but the focus now is on Hoover, and we'll talk about it in just a second, but that can always be a crazy week in itself.
Yeah, it certainly will. Certainly, I am happy that we got that final win, a little momentum to dust off the rust of what was a not outstanding week to limp it to the end of the regular season. Now, limping that's a little bit of hyperbole from me there. They had a great regular season overall with what they've accomplished. Streak of series wins in the SEC before that one that was going on. A lot of them on the road in very tough places. So don't let it not be said that this team didn't do well during SEC play, even if it was a little bit of a rough finish there at the end. Before we move on to the postseason part of this, do want to acknowledge something else really cool that happened. We've talked about Josh Donaldson already, and not to say that that's not important, but I just want to reiterate it. We've talked about it in previous episodes for time's sake. We're going to just talk about the really cool thing. I kind of forgot that this was going to be happening until they re-announced it, I think, or maybe they didn't even make it a big announcement or not, but such a really cool moment this week on top of seniors and graduation things, and Josh Donaldson's recognitions was the announcement of the radio booth being renamed in honor of the late great Rod Bramblett to the Rod Bramblett home booth. And obviously it has a lot of layers here. Rod wasn't the original voice of the Auburn Tigers. And if you're an Auburn fan, you know this, but if you're someone checking us not, Auburn's had a string of tragedies with their radio voices, the main ones, with going back to Jim Fife, and then the tragic accident and loss of Rod Bramblett and his wife, which brings us to this, reason we're talking about this today. His partner in crime, Andy Burchin, is now doing a great job as the voice of the Auburn Tigers, but Rod got his start with baseball. And so I think you wonder, a lot of times these conversations come up when these moments happen of you honoring someone. Are we doing the right thing? Like, should we named more after him, or should it be the footballs booth or things like that? But I think honoring Rod in this way is really cool because that's where his roots started at Auburn. And I think you could tell for Andy with him doing the announcement, if you saw that video and all that stuff, how much that meant to him to be able to say that to him, or say that to the audience about and talk about Rod in that way. It was just that extra little cherry on top of what was already a special weekend for all the things that were happening outside of the actual baseball games.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, I don't really remember hearing there being an announcement up until, or just kind of it dropped off in the middle of the night. Or I don't mean that literally. I don't think Auburn was trying to hide anything. I'm just saying I think that it was kind of dropped in there as kind of like, hey, we're doing this, and it's going to happen today. So I thought the same thing that you said. I think it was very appropriate, and I think that Rod would love to have the home baseball radio booth named after him because of how much it meant to him. It was very obvious throughout his time, and he talked about it a lot, how much he loved calling baseball, especially with Andy, and with them doing it the final SEC series, home series weekend, and now coming up not too far from 7 years since his tragic accident. It just makes sense. So very glad to see that. It was a very heartwarming video, and just felt very appropriate.
Yeah, and it makes, certainly you want to do it in the regular season and in what is the last truly guaranteed opportunity to do this in Placement Park. Now, Auburn is well positioned to host a regional. So how cool would it be to, not just in a ceremonial way, but for Andy and Brad Law to say, coming to you live from the Rod Bramblett home booth, officially for the first time outside of a ceremony for the regional games that'll be happening. That's a really cool thing. So I'm very happy about this. I think it's so appropriate and just added to what was already a special weekend for Auburn baseball in that way. Now, we got some business to attend to here. Postseason is beginning for Auburn baseball. We have a tournament and we have a bracket. And you know how much we like talking about those things here, Austin. So we're not going to have time to go into detail about every single thing here. Auburn, thankfully, for its performance, was rewarded with at least a bye in the first round. So they will not play till Wednesday. But the SEC baseball tournament starts on Tuesday, May 19th. So what does that look like? So we won't go through that rounds of stuff like that. Auburn's first opportunity to play is the last game. Auburn will be positioned to play the last game of the day all throughout the tournament, however long they last. At least that's how I believe it shakes up. We don't do that switching thing anymore, do we? Or
no, I don't believe so.
Can I be honest? Or you tell me, did you like it when they did the like re-switching around of where you played and stuff like that back in the way the bracket used to be set up? It's more streamlined now.
I'm more good with it streamlined. I think it works out. I think it kind of gives equal rest, or at least that's the intention.
Yeah.
Now, and here's what I'll say about this. You say Auburn's the last game of the day, folks. You just be patient on what time first pitch is. Okay. The SEC baseball tournament in Hoover does not run according to a schedule.
And we don't know what the weather is going to be like either.
The weather is going to be prime Hoover SEC baseball tournament. It looks like. If you check in with the man with the plan, and it looks like it could be a good old fashioned Hoover SEC baseball tournament week. So you just buckle up. Maybe we'll do some late night live streams. I'm just telling you, this thing could get wild. And for Auburn to be the night game, maybe that's what they need. I'm okay with it.
Hey, listen, you're not playing till late, so what's a little bit later at that point, right?
Well, that's a little bit later. Let's have a little fun.
That's a little bit. All right, but so go check out the bracket. We on the clips and stuff, we probably have it up on the screen for you and things like that. But game 8 is where Auburn will come in whenever that starts. It's scheduled currently for roughly 9 p.m. Eastern time at this current time. They would take on the winner of LSU and Oklahoma. Auburn has a chance for one of those two. We did not play LSU this year. We did beat Oklahoma. Do you have a preference on seeing someone new, or would you like to have another crack at Oklahoma?
Let's get Oklahoma. You know what? They are in a down bad after winning the title and having a terrible year. but I got no business. I don't want nothing to do with LSU and Hoover. I'm not trying to be the help LSU needs or the first victim of the LSU Get Right tour. So I'm good with Oklahoma.
I think I probably agree with you too, given how LSU's given us fits in other sports in the postseason and given us quite a few heart attacks. So I'm down with that. Now we'll take whoever we get, obviously, but there you go. It's either LSU or Oklahoma. The path for Auburn, besides competing against the game times and weather and all that stuff, if they were to win as the 6th seed, they would move on to take on number 3 seed Texas A&M. On the next day, whatever time that's supposed to be, currently scheduled for 8 p.m. Eastern time in their dreams, I'm just going to say. Now, Auburn did have success against Texas A&M. So you can choose to look at that however you want. It's difficult to do that twice in a season to someone. It is one game, so it's not a series, so you never know how that shakes out. How do you feel about that matchup, Austin?
Yeah, well, obviously, like you said, they've had success already this year. You know them well, but then again, also A&M's going to have they're going to know you well, and they got embarrassed in sorts in their own home ballpark, and they're a talented group as well. So it's no different than the SEC tournament to me is no different than the rest of the regular season. Is anything can happen. You better get right and be ready to play every game. But obviously, I think it feels good to know that you have A&M. And you've seen them, and the book is out on what you both can do. It's a game of managing your pitching staff at that point.
Yeah. Obviously, that's a potential path for Auburn. If they were to make it to that game and win it, they would move on to the semifinals. And the winner, if things go chalk, would be Texas. Could be Arkansas also. So I don't foresee the two teams further in that bracket making it that far, given their years. Maybe Tennessee, I don't know, maybe they got a little bit of magic. But poor old South Carolina is just down. I mean, for a team that's known for baseball, down bad, way bad right now. I'll be a little bit worried, Austin, if Texas and Auburn find each other in the semifinals. Texas is one of those SEC teams, such as Georgia, that was able to get Auburn, and they got Auburn at home, just like Georgia did. So that could worry you a little bit. We don't know if Auburn's going to make it that far. We don't know if Texas is going to make it that far. Coming out of the other side of the bracket, though, Austin, just as a potential, if Auburn were to beat their first game, whoever that is, beat Texas A&M, let's just assume it's a Texas or an Arkansas out of there. Who do you like coming out of the top of the bracket for Auburn to potentially face in the championship game if that were to happen?
Who do I like?
Who do you think is going to come out of the other side? Just a little bit of a prediction. How about that?
I think Georgia is really, really good. I think they're so really, really good, and I'm not sure there's much stopping them with the offensive firepower they have. But man, I mean, you talk about a way to get the Hoover Met packed on a SEC championship game, and Auburn really wants to try to get some revenge. The good old Iron Bowl in Birmingham would be a lot of fun.
Can you imagine?
I would. I am out of town with family, but I would not be far from Birmingham and trying to make that happen.
I am in town with family, ironically, because my schedule's changed. So you might see me make my way over there if I can if I can make peace with my wife for what was already a fun-filled weekend. For me to squeeze on over there on Memorial Weekend to enjoy that. It's going to be a fun tournament no matter how it shakes out. Auburn certainly has its challenges to get through every single game. It's the same for every SEC team. It'll be fun. Let me just point this out as a final note. Auburn has the high potential, if it makes it out of its bracket, to the championship game of facing one of its rivals. So really the question comes down to this, Austin. Do you want to face Georgia, who everybody thinks is probably the best? I mean, yes, they are the best team in the SEC by the results, but I think across the board, we'd all say that right now. Agreed?
Yes, agreed.
Or do you want the team that beat you 3 straight times at your place in Alabama?
I'd go for revenge.
He wants the smoke. He wants the revenge. That's what my gut wants, but I'm also wanting we've been able to beat Georgia. So I kind of want to take the team that we've been able to beat. So I'm kind of at a loss there. But that's your SEC tournament. So hopefully we'll talk about Auburn winning a few games there to help their case in the NCAA regional and super as a top seed potentially placement. As we sit here in what's been a wild episode, again, they called it the multiverse show, where things happened out of order and things like that. And we wish we were living in a multiverse where Auburn was victorious as national champions for women's tennis. And that is your news. Texas A&M wins in a little bit of surprising fashion that happened throughout the entire match today. But in just addressing this, we want to also talk about the admiration we have for the program, the journey that they've had. They had to overcome an SEC tournament challenge of LSU that got very scary. They had to face LSU again after having such an easy first and second round, and they gave them fits too. They handled Ohio State in the semifinals, and that brought them to Texas A&M, ironically, where Coach Szabo first came from. And so the stories abounded across here. And so as we're sitting here even now, right, watching this on screens, the tears rolling down from a lot of our ladies, that was a hard-fought match across all the singles and the doubles. The women's team, Texas A&M women's team wasn't very good at doubles points this season, it sounded like, but yet they get in the championship match, Austin. So I think that kind of signaled this is going to be a rough night for Auburn.
Yeah, it laid the foundation, and we've said it before. That can be an uphill battle to climb when you don't get that doubles point. Auburn's had a good bit of success doing that, and but can't get it in the national championship match, and it kind of put them behind the 8 ball the rest of the way. Lots of valiant efforts, lots of good storylines in the middle of it. DJ Bennett taking down a set from the Perez, A&M's number one. The first set she's lost all year. But they're just not able to string enough along to overcome and get 4 straight wins in the singles matches. So nothing to disparage about what a year it was. Just incredible work and such a young tenure for Coach Szabo. And I'm sure we all look forward to them being back on this stage and hopefully getting over the hump and winning it next.
Absolutely. And, if you look at the score and you might think that maybe Auburn had very little chance to win this, but the reality is this: it came down to 3 courts at the end of this. Auburn did have to sweep all of them, and we were sitting here in the live portion of the show debating who is going to come down to. DJ Bennett seemed like she might be the deciding factor, but unfortunately Esposito wasn't able to hold off Daria on court 6, and so it just it went Texas A&M's way this year. You've got a lot to be proud of in this program for their first SEC regular season title, first tournament title. You've got first time making it to the national championship venue for the quarterfinals, semifinals, and make it the first time for all of that, right? Like the whole thing. So this isn't a consolation prize. This isn't moral victories and things like that. But when something has never happened in your program history, that is something to be proud of. And so I think this is a great win in the column of John Cohen, who hired him and found him and convinced him to come over to Auburn. In a world where a lot of people like to throw, things in the face of athletic directors all the time if their major sport isn't working, this is certainly a win in his column for finding someone that can take what was working at Auburn in women's tennis, because it wasn't in any way a bad program when he arrived, but elevating it to the next level. So depending on how everything shakes out with roster and all that, people leaving out, maybe this is the new standard for Auburn of being in the quarterfinals, the semifinals for many years to come at this point.
Yeah. I think that's something you hope to see from a lot of these programs that maybe don't get the notoriety they should. But I mean, like one of our viewers is saying, getting to the national championship match is a tremendous accomplishment. I don't think that there's anything, especially with the way Auburn people like to, excuse me,
He's sneezing to keep away the tears right now. That's what's going on.
Right. Especially the way Auburn people like to celebrate all things that bring their program success and bring their program notoriety. This is a land Auburn women's tennis has not ventured before. And now hopefully they leave hungrier to accomplish even more and get over the final. But what a run, what a fun time keeping up with them. We've certainly covered them well the last few weeks. And I hope that it gives them more of that support from the Auburn people and from the Auburn family at the Bro going forward. But man, what a great year, and what fun to keep up with them tonight and figure out how it all ended.
Yeah, it was an interesting show for those of you that watched or listened or all that stuff. As we said, it's this segment's inserted somewhere. I think I know where it's going to end up, but as you can tell, the hat backwards for Austin kind of signals this thing was kind of piecemealed in there as we waited for this thing to be finalized.
A lot happened in between.
A lot happened in between. This is part of the reason we encourage you to watch the live show if you can stay up that late with us, as this was an interesting one. But hey, no, it's the congrats feels hollow at this point for Auburn women's tennis. But again, I want to reiterate, great year. Awesome to follow and cover this team. Makes us even more excited to follow and continue to cover them in the years to come. Congrats to Coach Szabo and the team for all they accomplished this year. All right, our final potentially topic this evening. We did want to continue to not get behind in our conversations about Jordan-Hare North project, because as we told you, this is going to be a several episode thing, because it's worth talking about that. I continue to want to push you not only to our content that we've covered about the initial renderings, the initial announcement and reveal of the approval of everything, and everauburn.com, where you can get all of these great resources. But we've even done segments about the timeline of this and the lowest level of this project in the north end zone, Jordan-Hare North. All that's been covered already. So where we sit on this evening is we want to continue to move upward in the plans that are proposed on everauburn.com, not proposed, they're approved, and discuss the second level, also now known as the concourse level. And so if you go to the website, you can kind of follow along. We're going to be taking a look at the schematic when you look at that on the screen, and then look at some of the major points of this particular setup here. So keep in mind, this concourse level is called that because it runs parallel, as the schematic shows, with the main concourse that you currently now know when you're walking in the north end zone of Jordan-Hare. And so imagine in Austin that all that great space that we have opened up now outside, on that back end zone because of the setup for the scoreboard, it's not going away. It'll just be formalized into a more nice setup for all of that, for Shug's food hall and restrooms and all this kind of stuff. Just it's going to look pristine. It's going to look nice. It's going to look like we know what we're doing, unlike Vanderbilt. So I'm excited about this.
It's going to look finished. Like when it's done, it's going to look finished. That back area with Heisman Drive and the Tiger Trans around has always kind of given a look into what the backside of the stadium looks like, where the visiting buses go, where the old CBS bus would park out back there. And now all this closed in is going to look finished when you get that bottom level, like you're talking, is going to be this concourse level, where you'll really get to see kind of the entrance. And I think they've been calling it what's the verbiage they've been using? Like this plaza is supposed to be I can't think of what they've been saying. Not the intersection, but it's like the front porch almost from athletics to campus, the good meeting part here. And it'll look nice and really well done.
And this is that part where the students are going to be really able to utilize this throughout the week. I would imagine the general public as well. So this is, those of you that don't like the project, think there should be things done different. Handrails.
You said
this is one of those really cool elements that I think is going to really shine through and show you that maybe you should have just trusted everybody that they're doing the right thing here. So just a little quick overview of the schematic. Right on the cue. His audio, your audio is fine, but your internet is just hanging in there. We'll hang in there too with it. If you're standing in the end zone, what you're going to see, especially if you're looking at the schematic, that's the buzzword today too. On the right side is an entry atrium. I'm assuming this is one of those new gates, potentially, Austin. That what you're going to see.
Love it.
I know that's going to make you happy.
It does.
Continuing on, you're going to see staircases, restrooms, which look pretty large. So, some nicer situations there. As you come to the middle, you're going to see Shug's food halls. We just talked about more on that in just a second. Up at the top, it looks like doorways, and I see 4. So I'm thinking we talked about 6 new gates. Am I not mistaken in that, Austin, that we talked about in this project for the
6. Yeah, I think 6. That sounds
so
right.
I'm seeing 4 openings. The entry atrium, maybe that is a 5th or 5th and 6th, but maybe there's a little section over there too. That's another one, or maybe that's just an exit. I don't know. But if you're looking along on the schematic, you can see it there. But tons of concessions. More on that in a second. Over on the left-hand side, there's Pat's Place, which is going to be another just option for you as well. And then just as a quick note, kind of referencing back to the last episode, the lower level, the lobby to get to the Kick Six Club down below, that lower level stuff, that's across the main concourse as well. So that's the overview of the buzzword schematic for the Ever Auburn project here. Let's talk a little bit about some of the finest things about this. Let's start with Shug's Food Hall. Again, I can't reference this enough. Austin, if people will go to everauburn.com, you can see their little videos and images they put in. I'm watching it right now on the screen. What sticks out to you the most? What do you like the most about Shug's Food Hall, even comparing it with what it currently is right now?
Well, we did not talk about this level last time, but we did not neglect to talk about the scoreboard on the roof. There's nothing you cannot disregard that at all.
So
the scoreboard on the roof is incredible. I'm so glad this is not in a locked away area where certain people can only get, like, this is open to anybody and everybody. I think that's great. But I just like this idea, because the food hall idea, because of how successful Heyday Market has been, and how well that has worked for so many to go in there and check out things, and have kind of not just chains, but local Auburn people, places that allow for different types of food to be chosen. Just in this little video, I think I see chicken, barbecue, hamburgers. I'm sure there'll be a multitude of amount of options that you can choose to eat from. But just, it looks like a lot of seating too. I just think this is going to be an open space and area. The dad in me sees it as somewhere where you can go in and just everybody reset. We got in the stadium. We're going to get some food because Junior's back here crying about how hungry he is. We can all sit down, take a breather. For so many people, that's the student center normally, right? Like, you can go in there, get out from the heat, take a breather, get your Chick-fil-A and sit down and have the games on. Now you can go ahead and go in the stadium and do that. So I think it spreads out people. I'm always been a big fan of food halls, but now there's one in my favorite stadium on the planet. That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, it all looks good. I guess one of my concerns, if I can just not act like everything's hunky-dory here, that traffic was always an issue back there, which is part of the reason why it was so great to have that expanded area back there. Now, I'm seeing a lot of seating, and I think that's idealistic. I wonder if, as time goes on, some of that seating will be transformed into more of stand-up tables and things like that for this area to open food. And they'll learn and grow with this and stuff like that. I love the concept. I think some of the logistics and realities about a football stadium and the traffic through that area is going, and what you have to remember too is the main concourse is outside, separate of this too. So that is probably how they're going to manage it. But let's be honest, everyone's going to want to be in here on game day.
Help me out here, Kyle. So the main concourse right here, is that what I'm seeing below the scoreboard, or is the main concourse back the other way through all the tables? That looks like there's stairways back up there, though.
That's what I'm trying to place as well. So what I see is inside. I think I've seen an entry gate back there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I think it's actually in the food hall. Yep. Yeah. So, everybody take some time and look through this and kind of figure it out. The reality is this: it's not going to be a perfect world the way this, renderings are showing you. This is what we hope it will look like, hope it all be. They're going to make the changes as things goes on. But I love the concept of what they're doing, of honoring the past, honoring Shug, honoring the scoreboard, having that there, as you already addressed. I love that. I think it's great. And more food, more options, things like that. And you can access it on non-game days as well, especially if you're a student. Now, one more thing, Pat's Place. So this is another dining option. I'm taking this one. It looks more, I want to say, upscale, but it does have a bar, it looks like it, and things like that. So I think that already kind of lends itself to that situation. I wonder if this is a place that will be you'd get the best out of it on game day, or excuse me, on non-game days, just because it seems like a place that you could come hang out for a little bit. Yes, get a bite to eat, but other things as well. It's a little bit more intimate. It's over in that corner opposite of the atrium over there. Any general thoughts about Pat's place? Obviously honoring Pat Dye.
Obviously, yeah. Well, and like you said, probably a little more upscale. This is an access pass area, so it's a little bit more premium. So it might maybe not as accessible on game day, but I think that this will be a place that will probably be, like you said, on non-game day, a hot ticket to see if you can get in there and see it. Just looks nicer, like a little bit quieter, but I could see many an event in here on non-game day or throughout the year as a a conference. It looks like there's a presentation area off to the side behind the bar, and so this is built for a lot of avenues and a lot of areas for people to experience differently. We've talked about that this benefits luxurious settings and the common game day experience. This might have a little bit of both tied into it.
Yeah. So 2 new eating venues, 1 premium, 1 common areas, with Pat being the premium and Shug being the common ones. And I was trying to make some analogy there. Shug always felt like the common man. Pat, yeah, he was the common man too, but it's more recent, and it kind of has that being part of the Pat Dye Society type of thing. I don't know.
Sure.
That's kind of what it felt like to me. Thinking about it. So those are the main elements. We won't talk about the Kick Sticks Club lobby because all it is a lobby just across from all of this over there. We've talked about that on last episode. Anything else from concourse level that we haven't mentioned that we need to discuss? Do you see any problems? I know we talked about just the flow and traffic and all that kind of stuff. Anything else we haven't mentioned?
I don't think so. I think that this, like we said, this is probably the area that will most at least get trafficked by the normal fans that are either walking around the stadium or looking for somewhere to go. If you look on that level where it shows like the side view and it shows each level on the website, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like it shows up, down, all the way up and down. Like to me, that looks like the most accessible. Like you don't have to go through a stairwell or anything. Like once you're in the stadium and on that main con, like we already talked about, you'll be able to see that pretty well. And so I think that's probably going to be one of the areas that a lot of fans see the most of or see the easiest. And so certainly with the food hall, I'm sure it'll be a hot ticket and a hot place to be that first game in 2 years. So I'm really excited to see it, and I cannot fathom how many students are going to be there throughout the day on non-game days. I feel like it's going to always be hopping.
Yeah, it's a great usage of that space on the main concourse level. And obviously, we're not even touching on the plaza elements of this yet, too. That we mentioned it, but there's that aspect of it that we'll get to at some point. We're just covering the different levels indoors of this new Jordan-Hare North project, and still much more to come on that end. So for now, at least, that's going to do it for episode 173 of the Auburn Experience podcast. We covered a lot, had a little craziness, and we're monitoring things all at the same time. As I addressed with the beginning of the show, you're living in a multiversal world with the show. Things may be inserted into the show at a different time and place. Who knows? But for now, we're going to call it a show, and we appreciate you guys dealing with our shenanigans and trying to manage 1,000 things all at the same time. So if you want to keep up with me, ask questions, drop comments, the social media for E2C Network is open. DMs are open. And E2CNetwork@gmail.com is a great way to contact us as well. Where can they talk to you, Austin?
Yeah, at Austin G. Scott is where you can find me on most things. And, dial up is usually pretty good too. The rotary phone, pigeon, all that works as well.
If you have tips for Austin and his internet issues with still trying to figure out the extender, drop him a line.
Drop me a line, man. Send me a letter in the mail.
Whatever, just figure it out.
Whatever you got to do. I do want to give one small shout out. Tomorrow is my dad's birthday.
Yes.
And I've talked about my dad on here before. Kyle has, wow, I almost made it really weird. Kyle has,
yeah, you did.
Kyle has met my dad and considers him a friend, and he's a loyal viewer and listener. So War Eagle Dad taught me a lot about being an Auburn man and loving Auburn, and he's certainly doing that for his grandsons too. So happy birthday, and War Eagle Dad.
Love that shout out to end the show, and I concur with everything you said except the weirdness that you made.
Yeah. That's what I'm here for.
All right, that's going to do it as we go. We remind you, the Auburn Creed asks you to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. We ask you to do the same. War Eagle.
War Eagle.